Hello, 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 friends. Nicholas here. DIVO-Ted Talks. Devoted Talks. I don't know. I thought of like five things to say at the same time, and all I could do was laugh because they were there. And yeah. I was really excited. Netflix brought back Dirty Dancing, and that was one of my mom's favorite movies. I didn't actually remember when it came out. Found out it came out in 1987, so I was about 4 years old. But all I remember is my mom loved that movie. And I was sitting there watching it, and I had an epiphany while I was watching it. I said my mom died of a broken heart. And I mean, quite literally, she had heart issues since she had the German measles when she was younger. So, shout out to the MMR vaccines out there for people who choose to take them as something that could have potentially helped my mom not have heart troubles and physical difficulties her whole life in response to the rubella that ravaged her body when she was a child. To each their own, and I don't judge, but lectures, save them. I came to my decisions just as logically as you believe you came to yours. No shade. So I was watching Dirty Dancing, and I realized quite a few things from it. I was like, Mom wanted that epic love story. Mom wanted that moment of shining where you fall in love and then you do this great performance and everybody comes together and it's happy and it's this, ugly duckling to black swan, beautiful transformation and, Horatio Alger's story, rags to riches. And I could see it. I knew it. And I realized that life, which I already knew, didn't turn out the way she had planned or wanted to or imagined, but she really leaned into, especially in her latter years of that dream, and it sustained her. It helped her move along. And I will say she hung on long enough to have grandchildren. She hung on long enough for my sister to have her three kids, and she got to meet all of them. And then mom passed peacefully in her sleep. We're coming up on 3 years next month, actually. About a month and a couple of days from today, it'll be 3 years. It's easier to breathe now. It's easier to function, but it doesn't change the hole, the gaping hole in my identity. I'll never forget when the estate was closed. We got mail from Maryland from the orphan court. And I had never thought about myself as an orphan until that moment. And I was like, wow, that's really terrible marketing. There's a little bit of an oversight there. At any rate, I want to go back to those movies, right? Like, comes back to that idea of idealist versus realist. My mom had this idealism, and I get that from her. There's an ideal world, and she was shaping her reality around her to do that, and would become so frustrated when it didn't turn out that way. And so instead of accepting and rolling with life as it was, she fought and she struggled against it over and over and over again. And it made her tired. And some of the last lines she said before she passed away, talking to my aunt, her sister, was, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I get that. I get that. There's a lot of challenging things in life, and there's a lot of hard things that we have to face about being human, but not just about being human, but being humans that feel good while we're being abused by life because we're fighting against the current, because we don't or weren't taught how to accept things as they are. We weren't shown how to arrive, participate, and thrive in ways that dances with the current rather than getting capsized by it, because the force is too strong for us to go against. That doesn't necessarily mean that going with the flow isn't going to come with its own challenges. I was recently talking about, a rafting trip that I had when I was in high school and how it really impacted me. And even then, going with the current, going with the flow, things still happen. Like the boat flipped or like bent in half and threw me out in the water and I was gone. And, it just wasn't anything I could do about it. And just because you do learn to flow with it doesn't mean that you're not going to have rocks that you come up against or immovable objects that say you must go around me, but the grace to be able to accept whatever that relationship is and that interaction is and that outcome is, whew, it's powerful. But man, it ain't easy. Man, it's hard. And man, it sucks sometimes. Sucks. And that all being said, living in the fantasy, in the idealism, or the realism, as in living in the past, right? Idealism is living in the future. Realism is living in the past. You're draining your energy because you're here now in the moment. And you're not going to know how to act, because if you're acting like the past or acting like some currently non-existent future, you're not meeting the moment with your fullness, and you're not able to fill your cup because you're pouring into cups that are no longer there. And so my wish for you is enjoy the movies, enjoy the daydream, enjoy the fantasy for what it is, a way of orienting in life of possibility without being stuck in the concreteness of things that aren't here right now. Live in your concreteness. You are here, right now. And in this moment, you can be well and you can be free. Please do that.